So welcome and good morning. I'm Sean Bieber. I'm the CEO of CIBC Bank USA and a member of the board of the Executives Club of Chicago. And I'm honored to welcome you to today's event, Captains of the Course, the Playbook for Pressure, Power, and Performance. This morning we're going to go beyond the fairways and into the minds of those who are really shaping one of the most iconic events in golf, the President's Cup. The 2026 President's Cup is going to be held at Medina Country Club. And it's more than just a global competition. It's an example of leadership, culture, and competitive strategy in action. And we have a great panel today. Brandt Snedeker and Geoff Ogilvy, two PGA Tour veterans and captains, respectively, of the U.S. and the international teams. And joining them is Joey Chitwood, who's the executive director of the President's Club. And it's great to have Joey here. Our relationship at CIBC with Joey dates back to his time as the interim director at the Cognizant Classic in Palm Beach, which is an event that CIBC proudly sponsors each year. So today you'll get a rare behind-the-scenes perspective on what it takes to build teams, drive performance, and lead on a global stage. So please join me in welcoming up our panel and our moderator, WGN TV's sports anchor and reporter, Caitlin Sharkey.
Good morning, good morning. Yes, you can hear me. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited to sit up here with these three fine gentlemen to talk all things President's Cup. Exciting time, and it's exciting time for sports right now in Chicago. I know we're all excited about what's going on in the sports scene, and I know we're very excited about next September at Medina. So thank you, gentlemen, for being here with me today. And Joey, you have to tee off first. I know, golf puns. Sports reporters love bad golf puns.
Does that mean I get a mulligan in case I...
Yes, yes.
Making sure.
Breakfast ball, whatever
Perfect.
you need. Really excited to have this conversation and enjoy what you guys have to offer in talking about the President's Cup. So Joey, we start with, you have overseen some of the world's most prestigious golf sporting events. When you talk about preparing for a President's Cup, what are some of the unique challenges? What are some things that maybe people wouldn't expect? And what drives you when it comes to overcoming those challenges?
Well, what a great question, and it's pretty interesting when you look at big sporting events across the country. And I talk about bricks and mortar. These great venues. You think of Soldier Field, Wrigley Field, all these great venues here, and we've got that in Medina. But we don't have grandstands. We don't have extra parking lots. We have to create everything based on our vision of what we think the property will do to make sure our fans have a great time. So parachuted in about 2.5 years ago, and I have to give props to our friends at Medina and Geoff specifically with the renovation. But when we actually agreed to our relationship, it was under the old design of the course. So our first mulligan is Geoff redesigns the course. Suites need to go over here. Where do we fit this? So we have to be very flexible and nimble to think about the plan. And then in the meantime, we have to make sure we can secure parking lots, create a transportation plan. Ooh, thank goodness the metro stop is a couple blocks away. But think about just creating that from scratch. And we had a great event in Montreal, our largest international event to date. But Montreal doesn't really equate too much to Medina. It's a different footprint, it's a different market, and so we'll take a couple learnings, but we have to create the plan and make sure that it makes sense. When you think about big brands, and I think about the President's Cup, or I had a chance to be at Indianapolis or Daytona, special brands, you have to do three things. You have to protect, preserve, and perpetuate. And you've got to find the balancing act. Sometimes it's almost too easy to protect it, keep everybody away from it when you want everybody to enjoy it and share it. So we always have to think about how we're doing all the right things around the brand. And I will just tell you from an excitement level, being here this morning, being here with these two unbelievable captains, we're in the right place to take perpetuate, protect, preserve to the next level. Because I think this is not just the biggest President's Cup in our history of 30 years, but I can't think of a better location, a better market, and the energy we've seen around the event. Charlotte was our biggest to date, Montreal our biggest international to date. We have everything lined up to create a stage for these two gentlemen to lead teams to put on an athletic performance that, candidly, I don't even dream of getting to do it that well. But I think for all of the fans, they're going to see something special, and you can choose what it is. Golf on the course, seeing a phenomenal Medina Country Club, or just being at a sporting event in a very raucous Chicago atmosphere. And I'll be honest with you, that's why I got here 2.5 years ago. I'll take any opportunity like this to jump in and be part of special events, and that's what our team is focused on. We get to set the stage, and we're going to try and do it as well as these guys do it on the golf course. Hopefully set that stage so our fans have one of the best experiences they've ever had at a golfing event.
Absolutely. Brent, as the captain of the U.S. team, you're not only managing talent, you're shaping culture, driving performance, all of those things, all while under intense pressures, to say the least. How do you align a group of world-class athletes? Do you have, obviously they have the same goal in mind, but you're managing like different cultures, different skill sets, all of these things. How do you align all of these world-class athletes?
I think it comes from being genuine. You know, I think you have to spend time with the guys. You have to share your vision of what you think a team should look like. You have to have buy-in from them. And the only way you can do that is to spend time with them, for them to understand what you're trying to get out of them, trying to put them in a position to where they can go succeed and play great golf. And you know, it's tough. Golf's a little bit different than most other sports in the fact that we're on an island. 95% of the time we're playing for ourselves. So when you have a team environment like a Ryder Cup or a President's Cup, it's a totally different animal. And so making sure that these guys buy into the team idea, the team model, playing for each other, playing for your country, playing for us is going to be on home soil. So how do we do that? How do we get these guys to buy in? And I think the only way you do it is through genuine action, to spend time with them, to let them understand what you're trying to achieve, to make them realize that you're doing everything possible as a captain, as a leader, to give them every opportunity to go out there and play great golf. And we're both very lucky because the guys that we have on our teams are going to be on these teams next year are great human beings. They're great individuals off the golf course. And when you have that, it makes everything a lot easier. You know, the game of golf is in a very good spot right now. We're very fortunate to have the stars that we have because not only are they unbelievable inside the ropes, but they're really unbelievable human beings outside the ropes. And that makes our jobs a heck of a lot easier.
Obviously, it's largely performance-based, but when you think of characteristics when you're making captain's picks, what are some of the things that you look for when making those decisions?
Yeah, you always want guys that are willing to compete, and that means like things aren't always going to be perfect in the game of golf. You're not always going to have your A game, but you want guys that are going to show up, that are going to give you everything they have, that are going to be able to handle the pressure, because unlike a normal week on tour, the pressure gets ramped up in these team events because you're not just letting yourself down now. You're letting 11 other players, you're letting your country down. So you want guys that can handle that can go in there and thrive under those conditions, and those are tough to find. You know, it's not an easy thing, and until you've been on one of these teams and been on that first tee, hopefully Chicago is going to be the biggest first tee build out ever for a President's Cup, and it's going to be really raucous and loud, and I expect everybody in this room to be supporting USA all the way here, right? But when they get on that first tee and they feel that pressure and that immense amount of kind of weight on their shoulders, you want them to be able to handle it, thrive in it. And I think Jeff and I have talked extensively about this. You know, these team events have a way of bringing out the best in these players, and that's why they're so special. Is you're going to have a great venue like Medina to show off some of the best golfers in the world, and they seem to rise to the occasion every time. So we're super excited about the opportunity in front of us.
And Jeff, leading an international team means you're managing not only different skill sets, but cultures, diversity, background, all of those things. How do you foster and kind of unify when you're trying to think about the purpose, you know, the one goal at hand, but coming from all different areas, backgrounds, skill sets, and cultures?
Yeah, it's really interesting because we have South Africa, Korea, Japan, New Zealand, Canada, South America, so we've got different languages and different dietary requirements, and they laugh at different jokes than we do, and it's been a challenge for our team ever since the inception of the President's Cup. How do we sort of unite this group of sort of individual golfers from all different corners of the globe and bring them together and make them a team in 1 week? And it's always been a challenge. Ernie Els, he came up with a shield in 2019, which has been sort of a symbol of sort of brotherhood and united the whole team, and something to sort of everyone can get proud of and stand behind, and that's been really powerful for us. But it's just keep the communication going, as Brant was saying. Relationships are really important. This is a week where these guys are very exposed. You're a bit in a fishbowl when you play golf, and the whole world is watching. You're very nervous, so to create great relationships with 12 totally different personalities from different cultures is a challenge, but keep that communication going, not just once every 2 years, but 24/7, 365. Stay in touch with my players. Keep them excited about the President's Cup, get them motivated, get them talking to each other, playing practice rounds together all the time, so then when they get there, they're used to, a Canadian knows how to operate with a South Korean, and the South Africans and the Australians can talk rugby, and we can find a common bond in amongst that. We love the golf, we love the international team, we play for the Shield. So it's communication, and it's been bit by bit piecing together how everyone can fit into this and create one cohesive unit, but we're getting there.
What have you learned about, and Brant, you can probably speak to this as well, golf itself is full of ups and downs, and it's such an individual sport, as you were alluding to. There's a whole new dynamic when you're playing as a team and competing as a team, because you're no longer, okay, if you have a great round, somebody else doesn't have a great round. As a captain, how do you prepare to maneuver those types of ups and downs and try to understand that we also have to compete individually, but as a team more importantly?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, these team events, everything is very magnified. The highs are very high and the lows are very low. You feel like you're carrying the weight of your team and your country and your family. It's a very heavy load, which is incredibly rewarding when it works. But when it goes poorly, it's frustrating. And you can come in, you can split a session 3-3 or 2.5, 2.5, and then half the team is really happy and half the team is really sad, and you have these ups and downs, and try to manage your way through those. It's really challenging. But that's, if you can create the bond in your team, again, like Brant was saying, and everyone is together with the same purpose, we're all in this together sort of vibe. I think it helps soften the blow from a rough morning, and it helps sort of bring you down a little bit from the highs, and keeps everyone on the same, just looking the same direction. It's a really challenging thing to do this, because as Brant said, we are ultimately pretty selfish athletes. I mean, it's all about us all the time. And that's kind of why we chose golf, because we could go off and play on our own, and no one would tell us what to do, and we're our own boss. But all of a sudden you have 11 other bosses, or 15 other bosses, or probably about 25 other bosses in one of these team events. And there's a lot of opinions, and to try to get everyone lined up, it's challenging. But the common purpose is to win the tournament and have a great week and really enjoy spending time together. As cheesy as that sounds, it's actually true. These are the most enjoyable weeks of our golf lives, and our job ultimately is a caretaker of that, and to make sure everybody has the best week they can. And if you win, that's fantastic. But everyone can leave having a better relationship with everyone else in the team and have a good time. I think that's success.
Yeah, to add on to him, I think you have to a mindset of we, not me. You can't have 12 individuals going out there and competing for themselves. They have to believe in something bigger than themselves for that 1 week, and it's really tough. It's probably why the teams I've been on that have been super successful, the captains did a great job of kind of instilling that in the team early in the week, whether it's like, hey, we need you to go out and play 2 matches and that's it. That's your role this week. But you need to go win those 2 points, and you need to go cheer on your teammates the rest of the time and be a great teammate. Or we need you to go play 5 matches. You go play every match for us, and we're going to lean on you to be that leader that we know you are. And so having the buy-in from the guys to where they understand their role, they realize that, hey, I try to explain to them all the time, nobody's ever going to remember your Ryder Cup record or your President's Cup record. They're just going to remember if you won or lost. That's it. And been on several teams where my record wasn't great, but we won the cup. And then I was on a team where my record was fantastic and I lost. And I'd much rather have a losing record and win the cup than have a winning record and not be able to take home the trophy. So I think having guys buy into that mindset is super important, and they can take some ownership in the fact that when a teammate goes out and plays well, that's a positive for the whole team. It's a positive for you. It makes you feel better about whatever might have gone wrong that day. And so that's our job as captains and vice captains, the guys we kind of put in charge of these teams. And it's super important to have them buy in to that we, not me. And I think that's something that we're both going to be challenged to do.
You've played under some pretty iconic President's Cup captains. What have you drawn from how they managed everything, and how do you plan and put your own stamp on?
Yeah.
So people can sit up here and go, I played under Brant.
Yeah, I know.
How was that? How was that
That's scary
experience?
to think about right now, trust me. It's getting really real now. Now less than a year away. But, I think I've had a great history of playing under Jack Nicklaus, Fred Couples, Davis Love. You can go down the list of these guys, and they all have a different style. I think the one thing Jeff and I have been speaking to is you can't be somebody you're not. And so I can't go be a Jack Nicklaus. And if Jack Nicklaus tells us to do something in a team room, we're all going to do it because it's Jack Nicklaus. I'm not Jack Nicklaus. So if I tell him to do it, I need to explain to him why I'm wanting to do it, what the reasoning behind it is. And so I think understanding who you are as a person, understanding your strengths and your weaknesses, having hopefully your vice captains feel those weaknesses for you, kind of step in where you know you're not strong, and then have that mindset of like, okay, I'm going to take what I loved about Jack's messaging and what I loved about Davis's structure that he did, or Paul Azinger's attention to detail, and kind of pick what I loved about each one of those guys and try to make it into my own style in a sense. And so I think that's the hardest thing as a captain, because you're going to have a ton of information, a ton of influence from people that you respect and hold dear. But at the end of the day, like, this team's going to be different than the team we had at Bethpage 2 weeks ago. And so I can't manage this team the same way we managed that one. So I have to be flexible, and that's something that can be scary when you're thinking about having a plan and sticking to it, realizing that the plan is going to change, and you've got to be able to change with it.
Jeff, the last international win in the President's Cup came back in 1998. As someone who's played in and served as a captain's assistant in the President's Cup, what does the international team need to do differently to kind of break through? I know you won't give me all the trade secrets with the
Please do.
the captains
Well,
sitting up here.
if I knew the secrets, we wouldn't.
But I mean, what is kind of your strategy? And there is a sense of like, okay, there's pressure in a different sense on Brant, but for you to break through that way.
Yeah, certainly. It's been a long time. 1998 was the last time the international team won the President's Cup, and it was, when I work it out, I'll let you know. But look, I think evidenced when you watched the Ryder Cup last week or 2 weeks ago, it's an incredibly powerful event to watch, and it doesn't really. Sometimes the US looks like a stronger team coming in, and Europe might win, and sometimes it's the other way. These teams need to become greater than the sum of their parts. You can have, we analyse the stats and the data, and we do personality profiles, and we go to every length to sort of maximise our players' sort of skill set. But at the end of the day, you have to get more out of. We have to get more out of Hideki Matsuyama, and we have to get more out of Adam Scott. We have to get them to play to their highest level that week, and if you can get more of those guys to do that week than Brant's team does, then you're going to do pretty well. That would be a hallmark of Luke's team in the Ryder Cup, I would say, is he somehow gets the best out of a majority of his players every single time they play the Ryder Cup, which is quite amazing, because week to week, stacking up, they're very equal, but all of a sudden they looked a little better that week. And what is that? So we've got to find what that is. It's very probably closely related to what we've been talking about, buy into the common goal, all get together. There's something more powerful about playing for other people than just yourself. We see it every time in these team events that these players play better than they ever play in stroke play tournaments. You see a level that it's the best level of golf you'll ever see, and I don't know. I'm sure we all leave these tournaments going, why can't I play like that on a normal basis? But there's just something about the energy of the team, the energy of the crowd, the sort of that collective sort of motivation for one goal that gets everyone to play better than they normally do. And so I guess the secret for us is to somehow get our 12 guys, or a majority of those 12 guys, playing at their best or better than they normally play. And Brant has to do the same thing. Because if everyone plays normal, maybe the US wins on that, but if our guys raise a level, then the US guys are going to have to raise and raise and raise. And you see, they birdie every hole sometimes in these tournaments. They picked on Scotty's record a couple of weeks ago in the Ryder Cup, and yet you looked at the scores he was shooting, he would have still been winning 72-hole stroke play tournaments. It's just that his opponents raised their level even more. So it's about finding a way to get the best out of our team. As I said, we're getting closer and closer. I think the last 2 or 3, 2019, we had a really good chance. We were in front going into the singles. Charlotte was very close in 22. The scoreboard, the final scoreboard sometimes doesn't reflect how close it really is. And there was, we were tied going into Saturday in Montreal, and we had the US team a little concerned, I think, on Friday night, which is always kind of fun. So it's, I think it's a lot, we're a lot closer than maybe that record suggests. And I think the US team certainly respects the international team and doesn't take it lightly. And they know we're coming really hard. So I think if we can get the best out of everyone, they're all very motivated. We've got a lot of guys who have come back who have played a lot of them. Adam Scott's played 11 President's Cups. Hideki's played 8 now, I think. So we've got a lot of guys who've played almost their whole careers, and they haven't tasted success in this tournament yet. So their motivation goes up every single time, and they drag people with them. So we get them together and get them to play their best, and I think we'll hopefully we can get it done in Chicago, and if it's not there, we'll get it done at some point for sure.
Joey, I have to ask, while they're competing, going back and forth, you in the background, Medina, the fans will be there, it'll be a great atmosphere. I'm sure in the past, though, there have been situations where quick thinking is involved. You're managing your own strategy of putting on a major event like this so that they look at it like, okay, nothing, everything is smooth, right? Nothing's going on behind the curtain. What are some of the keys to managing those things, or do you have any stories of quick thinking in action with these major events?
Well, I definitely have a couple chapters for the book at some point in terms of things never go as you plan them. And when I listen to these two gentlemen talk about how they build their team and create common purpose and all those elements, you can have the best plan. And you can go into this event after 30 years and we have the best plan and we've learned all these lessons, and then things happen that aren't in the plan and we never thought would happen. And so how do we react? How do we respond? Do we have a team that understands that when it happens, solve the problem, get mad later? Right, we can get mad about everything. I'm sure everyone here in business, something has not gone well for you, and you have some folks get mad about it. Well, getting mad doesn't fix the problem. So we've got to solve it, and you've got to have folks that understand that's what the day is going to be like. And if you don't have an issue that day, you had a really good day because your plan was in place and it worked. And I think I hear the same thing. I actually wanted to ask a question. I was at Montreal, and Jeff and Brett referred to it, but on Thursday, the U.S. team went out and went 5-0. And that was the first day of competition. The international team comes back on Friday, and they go 5-0 the other way. And I'd love just a little bit, a nugget or two of what was it like in the room, for, Brant, you guys 5-0 the first day. Wow, okay, things are happening. Jeff, the team probably wasn't feeling it. And how did they get it going the next day? But I think that's a really interesting thing that I'd love to know, and I think this group would, because you're dealing with the highs and the lows, and it reversed the next day. Mm-hmm. And what was it like in the team room when you guys were helping console or celebrate what happened and getting ready for the next day?
Well, in our room, obviously, it was predictably a little bit flat on Thursday night after 5-zip. Look, we kind of turned the music up and tried to lighten the load a little bit. Remind everybody, look, hey, if we win every session, just by 1 point every session between now and the end, we still win the tournament. Like, you still have to win 16 points, 15.5 points to win the President's Cup. You got to get more. We play 30 matches, and you only have to win that. So if we win every session, and there's 4 sessions to go, we win. So it's really not that bad. And if you actually look at it, we went up the 18th hole in 3 of these matches, so it was really a bit of a coin flip. And it turned out that way, and it's just, guys, we didn't come here to just give up after Thursday. Let's turn it around. And 2 things happened on Friday. Yeah, they came out very motivated because there's a little bit of embarrassment, I guess, even though it's no one's fault to come out to go 5-zip. It's a pretty disappointing result. They were all very motivated on Friday morning, and the Canadians came out on Friday morning. That first tee was, what you did there on the first tee there was something special happened on Friday morning, and I'm sure Brant would say the same thing. All of a sudden, the place was alive. The Canadians decided to come out and watch, and the DJ got loud, and the people got loud, and the atmosphere all of a sudden on Friday completely changed, and you could see it in our guys. They were just switched on and ready to go. But still, on the same, you still don't know. It didn't look like 5-zip until about half an hour to go. Like, these days, they all turn on the last few holes very often, and all of a sudden, like what happened the day before, the US wins the last hole 2 or 3 times. We did that. We still had a lot of matches go up 18, but we won the 18th hole 3 times, I think, on Friday, and then we do 5-zip. So it shows you how fine a line it was, and but we didn't get down. We actually we turned the music up and said, "Come on, guys, this is the President's Cup. Let's have a good time."
Yeah, I do remember the music being blaring, and we were like, "Why are they celebrating over there?" They got kind of handed today, and but as Jeff said, these matches are always close. They come down to a few holes, a few shots here and there, and you hope that day your guys make those shots or whatever. But I remember being in the team room Thursday night after going 5-0, and we were feeling pretty good. We felt like our best players were playing great. We felt like we had a great plan. We went out there and kind of executed the plan as best we could, and we were feeling really great Thursday night. And I remember Jim having a message like, "This is not even close to being over yet. We're 1/3 of the way where we need to be, 1/4 of the way through the actual points, but 1/3 of where we need to be. So we can't take this lightly." And to their credit, they came out on Friday and played phenomenal. And we had that same script flipped on us. So we get in the team room Friday after going 0-5, and Jim did a great job of kind of rallying the troops and saying, "Hey guys, I know today was not good, but we're still all square. We're still tied. I know today felt like a complete loss, but we're just like we teeing off on Thursday morning. We have that same mindset. If we win every session from here on out, we win. So let's wipe today. Let's forget today ever happened." We had a players-only meeting with the captains in the captain's room and just said, "Hey, you guys need to vent. Tell us what you thought about today. What went wrong?" And it was a really cool moment to have every player talk about what they are willing to do and give up and compete and tell stories about how they felt the day went, how they felt like they let each other down, and to take ownership of that. And I remember we left that team room with the 12 guys, and they were excited to leave. They were in a great mood. They were ready to fight. They were ready to compete. And I thought Jim did a really cool thing by bringing those guys in there and just say, "Hey, vent. Let's hear about what's going on." And that kind of flipped the script for us to where we could go. And even though the score didn't look like it was close, there's a point Saturday afternoon where the matches were literally a coin flip. We had 3 matches on the golf course, I think, Saturday afternoon, and the lead was looking like it was going to be 1 or 2 points going into singles at most. And those guys were able to kind of step up to the plate and hit some great shots on the stretch and flip a couple matches late. I think you remember the Siwoo Kim and Patrick Cantlay match where Patrick made a putt in the dark on Saturday night to really give us that momentum going into singles. So these teams are always, as lopsided as it may seem on the overall score total, from the history of it, these last 3 cups have been coin flips, really, and it comes down to a few shots here or there. So that's why these team rooms are so important, is you can get these guys in there and kind of flip the script on a day and have them walk out of there feeling a lot better or a lot, maybe more locked in than they probably would have. And so those are all learning experiences, all stuff you kind of use for things going forward. But these guys are the best at what they do. They're going to compete and they're going to grind and fight. And so that's why these team events are so special, because you have days like that. You have moments like that can really flip stuff. And Medina's going to put on a hell of a show, because there's a lot of stuff that can happen in the last 6 holes on this golf course. And no match is ever over when it comes on this golf course, because a lot can happen. There's a lot of trouble, a lot of risk-reward holes coming down the stretch that Jeff intentionally made. And so it's going to be fun to watch.
I had that uneasy feeling of like, no lead is safe, right? We have to finish this out, whether we're celebrating early or not celebrating early. How do you just feel that pressure throughout the entire tournament? Like, even if you said a 5-0 lead is not safe, like, how do you manage not only your emotions and your mindset going into it and trying to understand who you need to talk to, who needs to play better, who needs to do this? How do you manage that uneasy, anxious energy, especially as the captain of the U.S., which there's a little bit more pressure as to not let the international team break through?
I think you have to project calmness. You have to protect, like, we have a plan, we're sticking to it. You have to let the guys know that no matter what happens, you have their back, and we're going to go through this the right way. On the inside, of course, you're feeling pressure. On the inside, you're like, I don't want to be the guy that loses the President's Cup for the first time in 20 years. I don't want to lead these guys the wrong way. I don't want to do this. And so, people talk about negative self-talk all the time. I view it as, hey, that's going to make me focus twice as hard. That's going to make me work twice as hard. I'm going to use that as a motivating factor for my guys, for my team, to really get across that message of, hey, we're going to outwork. We're going to do everything possible to put you guys in a situation to be successful, because I know what the outcomes can be. And one of them's great and one of them's horrible. And so I'm going to acknowledge the horrible. I'm going to let it kind of motivate me and make me work hard, so that when we do get there, I know I put the time, the effort in. And I think that's the one thing Jeff will talk about extensively with professional golf is we all know when we put the time, the energy, the effort into something. We know if we've been at home practicing, been in the gym, eating right, doing all the right stuff, so that when we do have those moments, we know we're prepared and ready. So no matter what happens, we have something to fall back on. And I think as captains, that's what we have to do for our players, is know that when we're going to do everything we possibly can, work our tails off, so that when adversity does hit, which is going to hit, like we're going to have a plan, but it's going to get wrecked in probably the first 8 holes, that we have something to fall back on. We have a ton of work, a ton of time we put into this to know that we have plans B, C, D, E ready to go.
Joey, let's talk about the star of the show, and that's Medina, right? Jeff, obviously, we'll get to you and your perspective on it as well. But Joey, I want to start with you, and just not only, you were talking about all of the pillars of why you wanted to come here to Chicago, and passion is one of it, and I can feel the passion for golf here in Chicago, and Medina certainly encapsulates that. When you think about the course, the strategy, the setup, all of those things, what excites you most about Medina?
I think the thing that I learned when I got here is I don't believe the golf ecosystem in Chicago gets enough credit. It is phenomenal. The championship courses that are here, those that are known and those that aren't known and don't want to be known, it's impressive. The Chicago District Golf Association. So you've got this community that come March, the energy for golf, it's palpable. And so now you've got a Medina Country Club that's known for its championship pedigree. When this is all said and done, they'll be the only course that's hosted a U.S. Open, a PGA Championship, a Ryder Cup, and the President's Cup on the planet. I mean, that's pretty special in and of itself. So to be part of their championship pedigree, to bring an event that will be the biggest in 30 years, it's that recipe that we all want to grab a hold of, and we never know when we'll get the 1 + 1 equals much more, right? I'm going to say it's going to equal 20 or 30. I mean, that's the way we look at it. It's not just going to be that little bit of a plus up. We are lined up to be something special, and I know Jeff will talk about the course redesign and the renovation. I mean, you have to give the Medina folks, and the leadership team is here, and we appreciate all they're doing to help us with the event. But to choose to renovate the course on their own, that was not a PGA Tour recommendation. That was not a requirement. That was something that they're doing because they want the club, even after 100 years, to maintain that pedigree for the next 100 years. And it takes choosing to make the investment and stepping up. So for me, it was almost, there are points in our lives when you say to yourself, hell yeah, I'm going to do that. And I think when I was working with the tour on, hey, Joey, do you want to do this? And they told me about Medina and President's Cup, and I'd been to Quail Hollow, the Charlotte event, when I was at Arnold Palmer. And I think they said, are you in? And I go, hell yeah, I'm in. Wait a second, will you pay me? Yes. Okay, I'm in. And then it was like, and then I've got to work it out with my wife because she lives in Florida and I have an apartment in Glen Ellen and she tolerates this craziness. But I always kind of say to yourself, our goal in life is to generate as much scar tissue as possible. Put yourself in the middle of cool things, difficult things, achieve, but you want to be the person. I'm sure, and Jeff and I had a chat a couple weeks ago as he was talking about younger golfers in terms of get in front of them. It's like, man, you want to be here. You want to be in the middle of it. You want to be part of it, no matter what role you play. The competitor with the spotlight on you, or our team that's going to build the best venues, the best stage to run this competition. We would jump at that in a heartbeat. And so I think our team, the energy's there. We get it from the club. We get it from the market. I mean, it's phenomenal. We're a year out, 11 months and 2 weeks, not that I'm counting them counting. But when we're at 75% of our hospitality suites are sold, we went on sale a month ago with our tickets. We're close to 40% of our grounds admission. If you're looking for a Saturday ticket, by the way, I would recommend go on the website now because Saturday is going to go very quickly. I do want to comment and validate some things. We will have the biggest first tee grandstand we've ever had for a President's Cup, so that is confirmed. And I think the gauntlet was thrown that I heard that it needs to be as loud and raucous as any first tee grandstand. So I think that's a gauntlet thrown to everybody in this room. And I'll share one last funny thing is I was there at Montreal helping out, and to your point, Jeff, Friday morning they brought it. Something was going on, and I was assisting with the first tee, and we were sitting people, and I think at about 9 a.m., we did have to escort some over-beveraged Canadian fans off property. I don't know if they just stayed up all night, but they were extremely lubricated for that morning, and I think they had the hockey jerseys on, and I think they were this close to wanting to, fight for fighting. They were that close, they were getting into it, but no, I tease. I think for us, that's going to be such a great environment to watch competition at its highest level. And I just love the fact that when the spotlight's on, you'll see people bring their A game. And I think that's what Medina is going to do. I think that's what our team is going to do. The spotlight's on us. And I think, did you guys say like 20 bosses? I've got some of those at the table over there down from Ponte Vedra. When you think about this event and a 30-year history and running the biggest, we have a lot of folks in Ponte Vedra that want to support us, give us the resources to do it, but also make sure that we do it well. And I think that's the same thing. We've got to report that upstream and make sure that we're coming up with a great plan and building the right thing. At the end of the day, I don't want these guys to talk to me at all during the tournament week, because that means I've set the right stage. If they're talking to me, I've done something wrong, and that's not the place we want to be. We kind of want to be behind the scenes. But again, I can't really. I could go an hour on this, Caitlin. This is the right place, the right time to have the biggest President's Cup in 30-year history. And there's going to be a lot of folks at the end of the day that are going to have a part in that, and that's the best part of having a team. Chicago, Medina, these gentlemen, our team, it's really set up to be really well done.
So Jeff, you have to tell us about the vision, the redesign. What can we expect to see next September at Medina?
Well, firstly, Joey, you said you want to gather as much scar tissue as you can. You should have been a professional golfer.
Listen,
Because I think after 30 years, scar tissue is all I've got left. Tough job. But Medina, yeah, they called us mid-COVID and said they were interested in, or they were going to go ahead and do something at Medina number 3. Would you guys like to sort of try out for the job? And like, wow. I mean, very honoured just to get asked. I mean, Medina number 3, obviously, I'd played the PGA here in 2006. Had a full appreciation for how historic a venue it was and how big a club and how great a club it was in Chicago. So we were very excited. And as the process went through, we got the opportunity to they said, take a free swing, make this as good as you can from your perspective. So yeah, we were a little bit of trepidation at first, but we ended up having a pretty full swing. So we rerouted a few holes and came up with a bit of crazy stuff there at the end, which we think turned out amazingly well. It's just such an incredible property. Almost nowhere, none of these sort of famous golf courses have the scale of Medina, and there's 3 courses, but number 3, it takes up a massive space, and it's got room for all of Joey's toys to build out there, and it feels very grand. It feels like a big event is supposed to be there every day you're there, and it was a fantastic place to work. The club were incredible. The club should write a book, and every golf club in the world who wants to redo their golf course should talk to Medina, because the way they went through the club to organise over 1,000 members, to get them all on board. It's very scary to take your crown jewel and tell 1,000 people that, hey, we're going to change this because we don't think it's good enough. That's a tough thing to sell to membership, and they did an unbelievable job. They got to be congratulated. Obviously, they hired the right architectural firm. But yeah, it was just a fantastic process all the way through. We're really happy with how it is. We're really excited to have an event with all the eyes will be on Medina next year for a week. 24 of the best golfers in the world will be there. I'm a little scared of their opinions. Professional golfers generally are a little bit self-interested in their opinions of golf courses, and it's all about what works for them. But the general consensus has been really positive, and it's been really exciting, and we hope we've got a relationship with Medina forever, because they've been a great club to work with, and it's such a great property. I love just coming and just playing golf there, so it's going to be fun.
Brant, what challenges do you expect to see at Medina, knowing that Jeff played a role in those challenges?
He's probably done some stuff I haven't figured out yet to it, and I think it's definitely, it's Medina Country Club should be commended, because it's really hard to take a golf course with that kind of history, so many iconic shots that have echoed through the golf history have happened there, and to have the fortitude to stand up and say, we need to do something different. We need to move this thing around a little bit, and trust Jeff to come in there and his team to say, hey, have at it. Show us why you're one of the best in the world at doing this. And so I think he did a fantastic job. The golf course is beautiful. Aesthetically, it's stunning. It's going to look great on TV. It's way better for the members already. The members are enjoying it already. It's easier for them. They can play and get around. That golf course used to be really tight, lots of trees, lots of rough, lots of forced carries, and Jeff's done a great job with his team of making it more playable for the everyday guy while still challenging the best golfers in the world. I'm just as curious as Jeff to what the guys think when they get up here. I haven't had a chance to play it. I've just kind of been around it. It's always funny when you see new golf courses, you really don't know how they're going to play until the guys show up. You have an idea in your mind of how certain holes are going to play, and I remember when we went to Montreal 2 years ago. Jim Furyk was the captain, and we had played a RBC Canadian Open there, 10 years ago. And Jim got up there and did some site visits and was like, hey, this first hole is kind of like a hybrid off the tee and then like a 7-iron in. and we get up there, and every guy's hitting driver over the bunker down there and hitting a lob wedge in. And I'm like, Jim, what are you looking at, man? He's like, I don't know. I mean, when I played here, I hit a 2-iron and a 7-iron. These guys play differently now. So I think it's going to be curious to see how these guys play it, because I think Jeff and every designer has a way they think a golf course should play, and then when you get the best golfers in the world, they do stuff to your golf course like I never even envisioned that was possible. And so I'm curious to see how these guys kind of play on it. But it's going to be a great venue. The rerouting he did on the last 6 holes, it's going to be the middle 6 of the President's Cup, because we've kind of changed the routing just for fans and for first tee stuff. And so, and obviously with match play, you want those iconic holes to play a huge role in who wins the match and who doesn't. And so those last 6 holes on the original golf course are totally different. And we're going to challenge these guys in ways that, I didn't think was possible on this golf course. So I'm excited to see how it plays. And, with good weather and a good growing season next year, I'm sure the golf course will be in great shape, and it should show out to, at the end of the day, we want Medina, we want Chicago to be the stars. This is an iconic venue, an iconic city that's golf starved. How we don't have a tournament here every year is unfortunate, because it's such a great golf market. And so I think Jeff and I's goal is to show off what Chicago can do as a sports town, what Medina can do as a championship golf course, and let these guys go out and play some great golf and really get the fans excited.
How quickly does the feedback come in from the guys? Is it a couple holes in? When do you usually expect the feedback of like, okay?
First practice round.
The pros?
Yeah.
Driving down the driveway.
The parking lot.
It comes quick and fast. Opinions about, they're all varying, but they come very quick and very hard, yeah.
That's fantastic. It should be a great event. I can't let you guys go without some rapid fire fun behind the scenes, get to know you kind of questions, because everyone knows your golf resumes and all of those things and can hear those interviews. But Jeff, I want to start with you for these rapid fire questions. Favorite Australian dish or treat?
We have a thing called a lamington, which is it's like a cake.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of. It's more like it's between a donut and a cake.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Sounds delicious. You own several Gibson guitars.
I do.
When did the guitar playing start, and who are some of your favorite guitarists?
Well, that was a bit of an addiction that started at school. The buying the guitars was an addiction once I started making a bit of money, but I played a little guitar at school, and then there was too much golf going on, and you get out on tour, and as Brant would know, you have a lot of empty, lonely afternoons in hotel rooms for a while. And it's like, well, why don't I pick up the guitar again? So I did that in my mid-20s, and then my budget allowed me to sort of shop at the top shelf of the guitar shop instead of the discount level. So, yeah, my favourite one would be a 1959 reissue Les Paul, which is, nice guitar.
Absolutely.
Too good for me, but it's fun to play.
And you're a surfer? Did I say that correctly?
You know what? I haven't been surfing for a while. I've surfed on and off my whole life. Australians are sort of like Texans riding a horse. It's like when you're Australian, you've just got to surf, right? So I do like surfing, but I haven't been for a long time.
Well-rounded, for sure. Brant, I heard you love to grill and use your smoker. Okay, so if we're going over to your house for dinner, what are you throwing on the smoker? What are you grilling for us?
I love wings. I love doing steaks. I love doing any kind of barbecue. It's a good way for it's funny is for what we do, we're always kind of in high pressure situations. So when we have time to get away and do something that takes our brain off of what we do, we kind of delve into it to a degree like we do our golf games. And so kind of going down that rabbit hole with cooking a little bit, something I love to do with my family, and it's kind of a way to get away from golf for a minute.
You approach it like how meticulously, the timing, the temperature?
No, I mean, luckily now that they've gotten so good, I can't mess them up, So like these Traeger grills, you can set them to a temperature and leave them, and they have pellet grills, and so you can't really mess them up. But yeah, I like experimenting, trying new things, and it's a fun thing for kind of, I got 2 kids, so it's great to cook a big meal and be around the dinner table and talk and enjoy it together.
And I read that in kindergarten you wrote that you wanted to grow up and play on the PGA
I did.
Tour.
Yeah, I did.
When did you realize you had written that? And how surreal is it?
Yeah, my mom kept it all these years. She's now since passed away, but she kept it all these years and showed it to me when I got out on tour. And it was just something that I'd always grown up. I don't know how I grew up loving golf, but my first memory was having a golf club in my hand when I was 3 years old, and I just loved it. When everybody else was wanting to play basketball and football, I was wanting to play golf, and grew up just loving the game, and something we did as a family. I have an older brother who played college golf, and my dad was a weekend warrior, and he was never very good, but he loved the game, and so it's something we did as a family. And then the passion just grew from there. I just loved it. I never thought I was going to do anything else. I never had a backup plan. I never really thought about going to work for a living or anything like that. I'm one of the fortunate few who gets to live out his dream every day. And so I take that passion with me everywhere I go. I love the game of golf. It's been so special to me and my family, and really changed our family forever. And so fortunate to fall in love with something like this and have it kind of mean this much throughout my career.
As we kind of wrap up, I want to ask Jeff and Brant, to growing the sport with men and women, children, all of those things. Golf can seem very intimidating. I know when I started golfing, I was like, this is way too intimidating. How am I ever going to go out there? How am I going to tee off with somebody watching me? How am I going to golf with somebody I don't know? What is kind of your messaging to people who are just getting started or on the edge about coming to an event like this? What do they expect to see? Like, what is the biggest part of golf, passion-wise, that you want to share with others that are just kind of learning about it?
I'd say give it a try. I mean, it is an intimidating sport. There seems to be a lot to learn at first, but it's the only game that you can play from pretty much when you can walk until when it's all over. You can play it your whole life, any age, any gender, any version. Just take a putter and putt for a while. And I mean, putting a ball into the hole is a version of golf. Go to the driving range, find a Top Golf, go to a simulator, and it's the only game where a 16-year-old boy can play with an 80-year-old woman and have a contest with the handicap system, and you can have a good competitive situation. There's no others. You can't. Tennis, you've got to play against the same level. I can't shoot hoops with MJ. It's just not going to work. But golf, anyone can play at any level, and you can play it forever. And you do it in such beautiful places. I mean, places like Medina, but it can take you all. It's a great traveling game. You can take it around the world. I think it's the greatest game in the world, and there's no sport. If you take a little bit of a deep dive and you try to actually get better at it, you'll learn more about yourself playing golf than you'll do anything else.
What about you, Brant?
Yeah, that's pretty well said. Jeff's very thoughtful. As you can see today, he's a very thoughtful and well-spoken guy. I think the game of golf is special because, I think I can learn more about a human being in 4 hours on a golf course than I can any other way. I can find out if you're a good person, a bad person. I can find out if you lie, if you cheat, if you're fun to be around, if you have a personality, you don't. You can learn a lot about a person in 4 hours on a golf course, and it teaches you great core values of what gentlemen are. Having a good work ethic is, having honorable intentions, and all those great things. I think it's a great game for. I'm really big in junior golf in the state of Tennessee. We have a junior golf tour there called the Sneds Tour. We've got about 2,500 kids that play throughout all summer, and I'm a huge proponent in that. I want people to get the game early. It's way easier to start it early than it is to start late, but at any point it's a great game because it's a great way to spend time with your family. It's a great way to get some exercise, to get outside and enjoy this beautiful places we live in. It teaches you so much about yourself because you have so much time to think about every shot you hit. Think about what's going through your head before you hit a shot and realize, how am I thinking like this? This is unbelievable. I cannot believe I'm thinking about topping a ball into the water over here when the pin's over there. And it teaches you so much about yourself. And it's a special game. It really is. And it's, I think it can really transform people, can bring communities together, bring people together. And it's really hard to have a bad time on a golf course. No matter how bad you're playing, there's still some shots you're going to hit that's going to try to bring you back. And I still have the same thing with me when I'm playing a tour event. I might be playing terrible, but there'll be one shot that I'll hit and be like, that's what it's supposed to feel like. Why can't I do that more often? And so I still love that aspect of it, and I hope everybody gets to experience it at some point.
Well said. Well, Joey, Jeff, Brant, thank you so much for your time this morning. Thank all of you for being here. Looking forward to Medina next September.
Well, thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Jeff, Brant, Joey, and Caitlin for a fantastic conversation. I have to say, you all really want to make me go learn to play better. So you all also set just such a tone that I'm eagerly anticipating next year's President's Cup at Medina Country Club, especially under the incredible leadership and the competition of our panelists, as we heard today. I always like to take a few takeaways, and so for the team, I have several pages of notes here, but I just heard so many meaningful statements that, Joey, as you mentioned, how we protect, preserve, and perpetuate the brand, I think is something that we could be thinking about every day with all the brands that I know our members and leaders in this room participate in. I also heard, and I'm saying it, that Medina is the best venue on the planet. So we're going with that. And I know Brant and Jeff had to step away, but just the leadership and the humility of these athletes just was so incredible for me, as Brant really leaned into a couple things I took away from him is leaning into the fact that you can't be somebody that you're not, and this notion of being just great human beings. And of course, he emphasized that as in his last comments as well, that you really get to know a lot about yourself and the people around you. So made me again want to appreciate it. And I actually wish I had taken my husband on the golf course before we met. So he's a good human being, but I would have learned a lot more faster in 4 hours versus the 2 years we had to date. But I'm learning more and more about how important the game of golf is. And then Jeff, I thought his comments were really special as he talked about uniting so many folks from different backgrounds and really leaning into how communication and relationships is such an important part of that. So I think that that's absolutely something that we as leaders can take with us on a daily basis as well. And and again, Jeff emphasizing that the ability to play for other people other than yourself, I thought was important. And Joey, I don't know about you, kind of got us kind of riled up as how we can have the first, the largest grandstand on the first tee ever. So I'm really excited to see how Chicago shows up. We won't be as spicy as other places, but I'm glad to see that you're encouraging us to show up well there. So with that, we just look forward to welcoming the President's Cup to Medina Country Club in 2026. And so again, I want to thank our panelists and our great conversation that we had today. So before we wrap up, we just have a couple other programs and workshops that are coming up that I wanted to mention. We actually have lots of programs on our website, so I encourage you to go to our website and take a look at some of those. But a few I want to highlight that are coming up within the next week or so. So next Tuesday, we're going to have Artistic Disruption for Business Innovation. This is our first program from the Executives Club's new Creative Futures Lab, and we're partnering with the great organization Chicago Innovation on this immersive hands-on workshop designed to collide art and business in unexpected ways. So for those leaders who want to step beyond predictable thinking, reframe disruption, and unlock new approaches to innovation, we more than welcome you. And it sounds like we need to have the Medina team that redesign their golf course here for some of that too. We can learn from them as well. Then on Thursday, October 16th, we have our workshop, Leading Boldly, Unlocking Your Strengths. And this workshop is designed for professionals and leaders across industries who want to deepen self-awareness, boost collaboration, and lead with greater clarity and confidence. So we're excited to host that program. And then finally, at least on the highlights for today, on October 21st, we have The Consumer and the Conscience, a legacy built on values. And this will feature a talk with Mary Dillon, the former CEO of Ulta and Foot Locker, and then Harry Kramer, former CEO of Baxter International, will have a conversation as well. So we're looking forward to that. So with that, I thank you all again for spending your morning with us. I look forward to seeing you on the grandstand at the first tee in 2026. And until then, I hope to see you at another Executives Club program soon. Thank you very much.